Welcome to the Why Not podcast with me, Chrissy Hawkins. In a world where everybody always asks you why, I'm here to ask why not. I'm going to do that by breaking down the mindsets of guests and my own to figure out what makes people say, why not? Hello, and welcome back to Why Not. So today I want to talk a little about language and why it's so important and the stories we tell ourselves and how that kind of becomes our reality. So there's the quote there from Henry Ford that whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. And I think that's really true with like some very few exceptions, like, you know, being able to like fly with wings as opposed to in a plane, because obviously you can fly in a plane, so technically you can fly, but that's just a bit of a side note. However, that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how language and how these beliefs become part of our identity and how we need to catch that because it can put us in a bad loop. And I just thought it was really good timing for it because this came out yesterday. Sorry, this coming out on Tuesday, when yesterday was Blue Monday is what I meant to say. So with that, guys, I just want you to sit back and relax or walk and listen, and here is my episode all about language. Hi guys, and welcome back to Why Not. So today I wanted to speak all about language and why it is so important, because how the stories we tell ourselves become true, become our beliefs, become our identity. I'm going to break that down a little bit as well, and just how important it is to try and catch ourselves when we're in that negative story loop. And I really thought that it is a really apt time at the moment. And the reason being is this is coming out on Tuesday, and yesterday will be what is considered Blue Monday. So Blue Monday is I think it's the third or basically one of the last Mondays in January, and it is considered to be the most depressing day of the year. Now, I think this originally came from their statistics of it, where there is, I think most likely very high suicide rates. But the other thing is, the reason I say it's the most depressing day of the year is because, well, one, it's Monday, two, we're like a week away from being paid, so everyone has that. A lot of people have that longer pay gap because you get paid slightly earlier at Christmas, and then you get paid in the normal time at the end of the month. So you have to wait that extra bit, so you're broke. The weather's shite because it's January, and it's never nice in January. However, today it is a beautiful day. It's freezing, but it's really bright and nice, so it's good. It's not a grey, rainy day, which helps, I think. We're also in shorter days of the year, so there's more darkness, and, you know, obviously there is a thing called season affective disorder, which is where people who are people find it a lot harder in the winter to get motivated and feel good about themselves. So this is obviously in the shorter points. Thankfully we passed the winter solstice, so days are getting longer, but it is still quite dark a lot of the time, and that is where kind of Blue Monday came from. Now, how did I know it was Blue Monday? Because I heard it on the radio this morning. So to me, I was just getting up and going to work, and it was a normal Monday. What that could have meant for me was, now for the rest of the day I feel shite. Have you heard it on the radio this morning? Did you know Blue Monday was coming up in advance? You know, did you hear that and automatically go, oh yeah, it's a shit day, I hate everything, I hate life? Because that is kind of an example of how language can affect us, or how beliefs, like, as I said, we're told that this is the most depressing day of the year, so automatically you're like, oh god, I hate everything. You know what, it's right, Monday's shit, everybody hates Monday, nobody likes Monday, not only that, it's dark and cold and miserable, blah blah blah. I heard a great thing on the radio this morning saying that Blue Monday basically doesn't exist, and it's just being created in a sense in our, like that, like what I'm explaining there. Now, where she says season affective disorder does. So like a way of combating seasonal affective disorder is getting out in the sun as much as you can during the day, like even getting out for a walk in the fresh air, or they have these special light boxes which create artificial light, which in turn can help make you a little bit more feel better, like, I suppose. Now, personally, me, I would say I do suffer from seasonal affective disorder. I know my mood gets a little bit off as soon as the weather gets colder and darker. I start to get crankier, and I'm almost counting down till the 21st of December, because I know after that the days are going to get longer and it'll get a little bit better. Even though it'll still be really cold, it will be a little bit better. That's just me, but I do try not to focus on that and make it part of my life. And the thing is, these stories we tell ourselves, and even sometimes stories we hear from other people, like people have said stuff to you, maybe you're this, that or the other. I don't want to go into exact examples, but these stories that people tell us or we start to believe over time, and then that becomes part of our identity. So then when we try to do something else, this gets in the way. So it's really, really complicated. And there's this great quote by Henry Ford. You may know him. He created a few cars, you know, the whole brand out there. I heard they're pretty popular. And he said, whether you believe or you can or you can't, you're right. And that's really, really true, I think. For example being that you see a lot of people who do well in life and you wonder how, because say for instance there's maybe something like you wonder like why they're doing so well, and you're like, well, they're not actually that great, but they believe they are. And because they believe they are putting themselves forward, they're going for different accolades, they're winning things. Like, you know, there's plenty of athletes out there who may not necessarily be the best of what they are, but they've worked really, really hard to get where they are, as opposed to like a natural talent who mightn't be bothered doing it and don't put in the effort and don't go as far. Same thing, you might see it in business. You might see like some people who are highly, highly qualified and are yet seem to be doing nothing, whereas you have someone who's less qualified and just are really happy to put themselves out there and not scared and just go for it, and then suddenly they're the one with all the clients, or they're the one with like doing so well in their career. And you've probably seen it as well, like in work, like, you know, that person who can just like basically bullshit their way through stuff gets really, really far. And that's like part of it, you know, believing in yourself will get you further. And I know they say fake till you make it, which like in a sense can kind of work, but sometimes it's better to be like, act like the person you want to be, I think is better. Like, you know, faking it till you make it implies that you're pretending you're not someone and you still don't believe in yourself. Whereas I feel like if you act like the person you want to be, in 6 months or in a year, if you start doing that, the more you do that, the more you start to believe you are that person, and the more you'll be able to become that person. And like, say for instance, if you're going for a fitness perspective, as we're a couple of weeks into January here, you could be like, okay, so a fit person or a healthier person, whatever you want to say, what would they do and what would I have to be if I wanted to be that person? What they do? Okay, so this person would say go to the gym 3 times a week, or they go play sport 3 times a week, and then they go walking or do some other exercise maybe twice a week. Great, cool. They up their step count, or every day they get out for a walk for their mental health. Because how many of you guys who are hating Blue Monday right now spend their whole day sitting inside looking at 4 walls, or the only outdoor they get is a commute? You know, you want to be like, you know, on your lunch break going for a walk, or, you know, getting out in the fresh air and seeing some daylight, because the lights you're in all day, like, you know, you don't want to be in just that like fluorescent light all day, even though it is technically light. It's a little bit more dead inside. But that was kind of like siding off. And then you go, okay, what else? They would eat 3 good meals a day. They would still maybe allow themselves nice things from time to time. I will always advise doing that. And, you know, they will have fruit and vegetables in their diet and stuff like that. Like, nothing extreme, but you look at what you think this person will do. Or maybe like you might have some people you follow on Instagram that have like a really nice balanced way of life, and you go, oh right, great, cool, like look at this nutritionist, she does this, she trains these few days a week, she has nice balanced meals. She goes out and has a meal out and a glass of wine of a Saturday and is happy about it, you know. And that's the person you want to look for, not like the person who just drinks kale smoothies and trains 8 times a week and all you see them do is live on air. You don't want that extreme. You want to see those people who are balanced and look like they're enjoying life and getting the most out of life and, you know, having a good balance. So if you're modelling off someone, look for someone who still enjoys their glass of wine and still enjoys, you know, a bit of treat and isn't afraid to show that to the world. And so then you go, okay, right, so that's what that person does, so I'm going to start doing that, okay? And this is where you start to change, in a sense, because you're changing your identity, but you're not quite there yet. So you have to like act like that person until you become that person. So you're looking and you're putting these action steps in place where you go, okay, great, this is what this person does, this is what I will do, and now I'm going to work on this until I get to becoming that person. Now, it's not going to happen overnight, but it can take time and effort, and within maybe 6 months, you are now that person who does that all the time, and that is like now part of your identity. It's no longer a chore to eat vegetables and fruit. It's no longer a chore to get out and go for your walk. You know, you maybe take up hiking and you enjoy it, or you love running on the beach, or next thing you know, you run a half marathon. You know, it's these things. What we do is we look at what we want to do and we break it down into how we do it, as opposed to where we can find is, especially in January, is you go, oh, I have to do everything straight away and I have to do that, but you haven't changed your internal identity, so you're still in your head a lazy fat bitch. And because the whole time you're doing this, you like don't believe in yourself doing it, you decide, you know, a few weeks down the road that like, oh yeah, no, I'm still a lazy fat bitch, I'm not doing it anymore, you know. And this is the reason I'm saying it like that, and this is why it's so important, is because that's comes back to the language piece of talking to ourselves like that. Like, right, so, you know, if you are doing all this without kind of trying to realize that you're creating an identity shift, you are going to still consider yourself being a, as I said, a lazy fat bitch, right? Now, talking to yourself like that is not okay. And the thing is, when you're changing identity or changing how you act and stuff, it will take time, and there will be slip ups, for want of a better description. There'll be days where your original identity comes back out and you do things that you used to do. And this is where you go, where like having to have the language is, because what will happen is, if you're so used to being that other person, you're going to be like, oh, see, I knew I was a lazy fat bitch, this is a waste of time, I'm not doing it. Whereas if you go, okay, you're not, right? You never were that person. This is something that's internalized in you, but it's not who I am. I am changing, I am growing, I am learning, and with learning, we get setbacks. We don't just, nothing is plain sailing, nothing is perfect, and nothing is ever plain sailing or perfect for anybody. Even the person who looks like they're having the best life ever, I guarantee you they have their ups and downs, and the thing is, they're just not going to show you, because nobody shows you the struggles on social media, because social media is a highlight reel. So there are going to be bad days for those people, and there's going to be good days, but they're only going to show you the good days. So then what happens is, if you're modeling off these people, which is where it becomes difficult, if you're trying to model off someone as opposed to model yourself, if that makes sense, when you slip up, you're going to blame yourself for not being disciplined enough, or not being strong enough, or just being a lazy fat bitch. And the thing is, you never were that, but you believe that. And why do you believe that? Because you or other people have been telling yourself that for so long that it is part of your identity. And that's why I'm trying to say here is, we need to watch our language, because the more we say something like this, the more we start to believe it. And the more we believe it, the harder it makes changing. Because if you really have that internalized, and I tell you now, if you've ever done something slightly off plan and berated yourself for it, you have it internalized. You believe you are this person. And changing beliefs doesn't happen overnight. And like that, it's not perfect and it's difficult, but you need to catch yourself doing it, okay? So one of the things I'm saying is like, you know, you maybe hear me saying this going, oh God, like, yeah, I said it all the time. Like when I do something wrong, I berate myself. And like, I'm not perfect either. I do this all the time. I get in funks and I'm like, you're useless, you're wasting your time, nobody wants to see what you're doing. Like, you know, it happens to all of us, and myself included. And especially during the winter, I find it very, very difficult to get myself up and out and talking and, you know, getting there. And it can be a real struggle sometimes. And there's been times where I've had content like the podcast that has to goes out on a Tuesday, and I'm recording on Tuesday because I put it off because I'm feeling so down on myself. And look, this can be caused, as I said, you know, during the winter, you can be more harsh on yourself. When you're coming to the end of your cycle, around your period, it's very often you can get very self-critical and very down in yourself, because it's just like how you feel. Like, it's your hormone drop, it drains your energy, and with that can help the negative safe talk. But like, does it ever help you? Like, and what time in your life has someone berating you, yourself included, ever motivated you to change? Because I know myself, I find it hard to take criticism. It makes me feel more down about myself, and I'm like, yeah, no, you know, you're right, I'm shite. Why am I even bothering? Why am I doing this? I never tried. I shouldn't try, you know? And you talking to yourself like that, because can be our worst critics. And also, you know, you don't want that enemy, your biggest enemy, being between your two ears. And that can really, really, really slow us down. And one of the things I always think is, when it comes to things like this, is like, imagine you heard your friend saying that to themselves. Or imagine you heard someone say that about your friend, like, oh, your friend's a lazy fat bitch. Or you heard your friend calling herself a lady fat bitch. Would you turn around to them and go, yeah, you know that, yeah, fat bitch, come on, just stay fat? Or would you be like, what the fuck are you saying to yourself? You need to cop the fuck on. Like, stop that. You don't need to talk to that. You are amazing. You are strong. Look at all the stuff you've done. Look at all the places you've been. Look what you've achieved over the years, and you're just in a bad place right now, and you're going to get out of it, and you're going to be strong like you always have been, and this will be a learning curve. And it's funny how we'll do that for other people. And by the way, if you don't want to say that to your friends, or you feel like dragging them down, you need new friends, or you're not a very nice person. But one or the other, ideally, I would like to think that you are going to support your friends and not be like, yeah, no, you know what, you're right. And this is really important, because if you wouldn't say that to your friend or your family, you know, depending, you know, your mother, your sister, your father, you know, if you wouldn't do that to them, why are you doing it to yourself? Because that's the problem here, is we have like a double standard where it's okay to like treat yourself like shit, but you wouldn't do that to someone you know or someone you love. And I know this is kind of sound really stupid, but like, the person you should love the most is yourself. I know that sounds really airy-fairy, but the thing about it is, you are the only person who's going to care the most about you. It doesn't matter a damn what people say. They will always care about themselves more. And your friends will always be there for you, but at the end of the day, they'll be there for themselves first. And that's nothing like wrong against your friends or your family, but nobody cares about you like you care about yourself. So if you want yourself to do well, you have to care about yourself doing well. And you're not going to do well or care about yourself doing well, or you're not going to change anything about yourself if you're constantly tearing yourself down and telling yourself, this is what I'll be like, this is how I am, this is like, these thoughts become our identity. And until you are ready to break that cycle of thoughts, you're not going to change your identity ever, and you'll be still stuck in this constant loop of, you know, say for instance, when it comes to fitness, getting so far down the road, stopping, getting so far down the road, stopping. when it comes to anything. Like, you know, you could be starting to study, stopping, you could be anything that makes you uncomfortable is going to help you grow. And growth is uncomfortable. Nothing grows in the comfort zone. And pushing yourself out of that comfort zone is really important, but your negative thoughts that have become your identity are going to be always there to pull you back, because, you know, it's nice there, it's comfortable. As I said, it's comfortable. And, you know, becoming someone different or learning these things is very hard, and it's very uncomfortable, and a lot of us don't want to do it. And sometimes this will come as well, like your friends will be all super supportive, or your family will be super supportive, and you'll get to a point where you're getting there and you'll hear, don't lose too much weight, or don't do that, oh, you're getting very skinny now, oh, you know, you'll get these comments, and that is them projecting onto you as well. So that is like their internal thoughts going, oh, look at all the change she's doing, I don't like that, it's making me uncomfortable, so I need to make sure she doesn't go too far, because I don't like that, that makes me uncomfortable and I'm not happy with that. So, you know, as well, if you are in a situation where you have managed to overcome those thoughts and you've created that new identity, and maybe you're at the pivot point where like it could go either way, and you start getting those negative thoughts externally, because it can come externally, because you'll find people tend to be very, very supportive at the start, but as soon as you start highlighting that they are still where you were 6 months ago, you'll tend to get like the opposite reaction, and that can be really, really hard as well. And if you are someone doing that to someone, you need to look at yourself, because for every finger, so every time you point a finger, you've got 4 pointing back at you, is the saying. So if you are telling someone they shouldn't be doing a certain thing, look at yourself. You tend to be projecting onto them and being like, oh God, they're doing well. Like, it makes you uncomfortable because they're doing well, and it highlights that you're not doing anything. So it's very easy for you to try and drag them back to your level. It's not an insult, it's just maybe time for you to assess that maybe you need to move forward too and change something about yourself that you're not happy about, but you were happily ignoring it until your friend, brother, sister, mother, father started changing too. It's just really, really important, if you are finding yourself not only just negatively talking to yourself, but negatively talking to somebody about what they're doing. Now obviously, if it's a concern thing where they are literally, you know, possibly eating disorder or something like that, there's a different way to broach it. Don't just say don't get too skinny, you need to talk to them and find out if they're okay. That's completely out of my scope, but in the most case, if you are trying to pull someone back, look at yourself first and see why it's making you uncomfortable, and assess why that's become a problem for you. I didn't actually intend to go into that side of it there, but I suppose now we're just talking about the language and talking about how important it is. It's very important to assess our own language as well, so not just to ourselves but to people around us, and, you know, try not to be so judgy. Try to support people as much as you can, and as I said, if you do find yourself judging people or being cranky towards them, assess why that's coming, where that's coming from. And yeah, so I think to summarize with that, keep an eye out on what you're saying to yourself. Always be aware that, you know, catch yourself if you hear yourself tearing yourself down or calling yourself names just because you weren't perfect one week, because perfection doesn't exist. It's always progress over perfection. Perfection doesn't exist. Perfection is a great way to turn into procrastination, because if you can really avoid everything for so long waiting for the perfect time. So that's one to think about. You know, nothing's going to be perfect, so just get started, get going. You will be surprised not how easy it is when you get into a routine and you start to slowly change your identity, how easy it becomes to just do it. Before that, it can be quite hard, and there will always be disagreements, and there'll be good days and bad days, and you have to accept the good with the bad, because if you didn't have the bad, you wouldn't know when it's good. So remember that. It's like a heart rate monitor, up, down. You wouldn't know the highs if there weren't for the lows. So when you're telling yourself those days, think of it, instead of going, oh, I failed, I'm a lazy fat bitch, go, what can I learn from this? Okay, so today wasn't perfect or wasn't a thing, but over the course of the last month, I've had 3 bad days out of 30, which is a change from last time where I would have said, quote, bad days. I would have had 10 bad days. So look, I've learned, I've gotten better, I'm improving, I'm still learning, I'm always going to be learning. You're never going to stop learning. That's one thing I've learned, see what I did there, is you'll never stop learning. And when you have those bad days, look at what you can learn. Catch yourself when you hear those negative thoughts come into your head, and remind yourself you're in a process of changing and growing and learning, and this is part of the learning, growing process, and it will take time and you will get there. And when you get there, you're going to be so happy because you persevered and you pushed through and you never gave up. You know, the only time you really fail is when you never try. So even if you're coming back to something that you've done before, you know, focus on it and stick with it until you get to where you want to be. And that's the most important thing that you can do when you are learning, and sticking with it is most important. And second thing is being kind to yourself and not calling yourself all these different names. And then on the flip side, I said, if you see a friend or someone who is pushing themselves and that is making you feel uncomfortable, if they're pushing themselves to grow out of their comfort zone, to learn and change, and that's making you uncomfortable, so identify that with yourself as to why you think that's making you uncomfortable. And because it's a you problem, it's not them 90% of the time. Sorry to be blunt about it. I know this for myself. I can be very judgy, but try not to judge people as much. Try and put yourself in their shoes. Try and learn why they're doing it. And then if it's making you feel uncomfortable and making you feel awkward about yourself, maybe it's your time to change something about you as well, and learn and see how you can grow and change just like they are, and find out from them. Maybe learn from them what, you know, you can learn a lot from these people who have maybe a few steps ahead of you, you know, and I've very rarely found people who aren't happy to share with you their story or how they've gotten on, because they want to help you improve just like they have. Just in my own personal experience, that's the way it has been as well. So I think that hopefully makes sense. I went on a little side tangent that I didn't expect, but I thought it was good to have there as well. And with that, guys, I am going to leave you. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. Remember to share it if you're listening to it. Drop me a comment, drop me a DM, let me know how you found it. I love hearing feedback on these episodes. And also, guys, remember, be nice to yourself. And with that, if you are looking for me, you will find me on Instagram and TikTok. It is Chrissy H Fitness. I've actually started posting TikToks again, so okay. And you can also find my website if you are interested in finding out how to work with me or do training with me. I do training as in fat loss, general fat loss. I also do horse rider specific training. You will find all the information on that on www.chrissyhawkins.com. So thanks again for joining me, and remember, be nice to yourself and be nice to others. Bye. Thank you again for listening to the Why Not podcast. It really means a lot that you are listening in, and I would love if you could please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or subscribe on Spotify. And always, I'd love to hear feedback personally, so if you do want to leave me a message and let me know how you found the podcast, please do.